It's time for Class Racing Today, the podcast for the NHRA class racing fan. Welcome back to Class Racing Today, classracingtoday.com. It's a website. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bobby and Brian are back with us together. Brian has decided to to be here again, which is great. What's up, Brian? How's it going?
This is kind of the busy time. Like, you know, people are preparing for next spring, so we're kind of in the peak of sales season, trying to get my new shop built after my builder quit mid-project. So,
oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, there's
with walls up.
Yep.
Someone walked off the job.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I don't know. I think I should have been a contractor in life. It seems like you don't have to finish anything and you still get paid.
That seems problematic, but what do I know?
Well, hey,
you didn't pay him up front, did you?
Yeah, unfortunately, way too much. But when I was watching your winterizing video, I'm like, I should do a shop tour. You know, I can walk around in the mud and look at all these posts sticking out of the ground.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I don't drink anymore, but if I did, we'd probably have a big bonfire. Just take a chainsaw and cut it all down and light it on fire. But it'll work out. Someday I'll be cool and actually have a roof over my toys. And yeah, that's enough on that. Let's talk about good things. How's it going, Bobby?
Any contractors out there that want to finish Brian's shop? Sponsor the show by finishing Brian's shop.
There you go.
You'll get title billing.
I'm not sure how you can get paid before you show up. Like, I understand, like, that's a contractor thing, but they all want, like, a third or half down and, yeah, empty promises. Yeah. Selling empty promises. That's the new market. I've been watching our government too much.
Yeah, good work. ClassRacingToday@gmail.com is our email address if you have any questions or comments or would like to offer some advice for building to Brian. You certainly can. All is welcome.
Don't forget to send stars if you like the show.
That's right. The Facebook, send some stars on through. All right. What do you guys have today?
And today we have one of the most highly sought after painters. Not only is this guy a racer, he is one of the best painters, car painters, motorcycle painters. He can do stripes, retro, nostalgic paint jobs. Whenever you see one of them really cool looking cars going by that everybody's taking pictures of, odds are it was painted by this gentleman here. He runs a 1964 Dodge Polara in A stock automatic, sometimes double A stock automatic, sometimes even super stock D automatic. It's got a 440 cubic inch engine in it. He's been to Indy, and his father recently won the Hemi shootout down in Belrose, Louisiana. Today we have Mr. Travis Tuki, nicknamed Travis Tooky Hess, on the show. Travis, how you doing, sir?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm doing all right.
Now, Travis, we know that you were probably in the middle of painting someone's highly prized possession, but you took some time today to come be with us, to hightail it across the street from the shop to your house, to spend some time with us and have a conversation.
Yeah.
We all know that your family is a racing family, and they also obviously know that you're the painting family. I would like to start the conversation with the painting. I want to know how you got into this. You know, how you learned how to do what you do. I mean, like, is that something you just have to be born with, or what? Because I can't even draw a freaking stick figure, and I see what you're doing, and it just makes me sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always drawn as a kid. I mean, I'm not like Chip Foose or anything, but I've always drawn and been into art. So, you know, I grew up in the body shops, of course, with dad running shops, you know, pretty much his whole life. So ever since I could walk, I was in a body shop. And then, so I just learned how to prep cars. And, you know, after school, I was going to go to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. And we went up and kind of toured it. And then they start talking salaries and stuff. And dad's like, well, heck, you can make that much sand in cars. I'm like, I was like kind of done with school anyways. I was like, yeah, screw it. I'll just come work at the shop. you know, and we took the little bit of money I had for college from my grandmother, and I said, yeah, I'll just come work. And we went and bought a drag bug. So we bought a Volkswagen drag car and took that and ran that a summer or so. And I just started working at the shop. You know, Dad was doing custom paint in the 70s on vans and, choppers and different things. So he can do it as well. And I just always was gravitated towards that nostalgia paint. And I just started doing it. I mean, I guess you can go to school. There's a lot of classes and stuff now, of course, with the internet and YouTube. I mean, you could learn how to paint a metal flake tank in a weekend now. But when I started, 25 years ago or more, you just had to do it. You know what I mean? You just learn. And a guy that used to letter my dad's race cars named Nelson Grimes, I grew up watching him, and he's one of my heroes. And I just wanted to be him. So I just got some pinstripe brushes and lettering brushes, and I just dug into it,
So that's what
So you just kind of trial and error, you know what I mean?
that's what attracted you to Mopars then, because they always had the cool 70s paint jobs.
Yeah, I mean, Dad, like I said, he was a Mopar guy. So growing up, I mean, it's pretty neat. His first Hemi car was a 70 Challenger, and he sold it in like 82 and just got it back a few years ago. So that's pretty neat. And I remember it. I was like 6 when he sold it, and I can just vaguely remember like being in it. It was B5 blue, white interior, and it looks exactly like it did 35 years ago. So it's pretty neat that he got that back. But anyways, we always had Mopars around, and he started building his first Cuda in 91. And I remember riding home in that car when he bought it, and he drove it back and forth to work a little, and then he tore it apart and wanted to build an AH car. It was called AA back then, and then now, of course, it's AH. They gave him their own class. But yeah, I've always been around those cars, and I've been attracted to the B bodies. So I like the big taxi cabs, we call them, or family car. So I like those a lot. I like the A bodies, but I really love the B bodies, the earlier ones.
I had a 68 Charger a friend of mine helped me redo, and the body was
Very
already
cool.
redone, and it was B5 blue, factory RT with factory air conditioning, and everybody was always like, is that actual B5 blue? Because you see all kinds of shades now, and it's hard to know what the actual B5 was because there's not very many left, but that's my all-time favorite Mopar color.
Yeah, I can show you original paint B5 blue if you want to see it. The whole engine bay and all is still original in that car. He painted it once in the like 78 or 9, but the jams and the engine bay is still original paint. It's pretty neat.
And the sassy grass green would probably be my second color. Like if I'm gonna have a Cuda, that's probably what it's gonna be.
Yeah, they're all great colors.
Bobby's like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ford
the Ford guy over here.
What did they have, like white, black?
Yeah, how about Wimbledon white? Bobby knows that color.
Wimbledon white. Not me. I don't like white car. Oh, well, I drive it. My daily driver is a white car, but I'll never
Right.
have a white race car. That's just
And
not my style.
springtime yellow. It's another great Ford color. That pale yellow on the Mustangs.
We call it pea yellow.
Corvette's the only yellow car I would have. A Challenger is the only purple car I would have. And
Right.
I guess my Mustang would have to be, like, when I get my 68 fastback, will be the green, like the Bullet car.
Very cool.
I'll
there's
probably
something
be 68 by the time I get one.
There's something to be said though for like Tuki, better than I do, but what was it? The 71 Cudas where they did like the billboard, like what is it? Was it limelight green or was it sassy grass green? With like the white billboard on the side was so cool. I mean, those.
Yeah, Mopar did some wild stuff, that's for sure.
There's a guy.
I think that's kind of why they have that cult following, you know what I mean? It's different than the other brands. They kind of had their thing going, they've always been kind of different. So it's kind of, that's why I like them. They're kind of brand C. It's normally Chevy and Ford, and then Mopar is kind of trailing behind till you get to the track and kick those Hemis in high gear. Then they go to the front.
There's a big collector here in the Minneapolis area, and they call it the Mopar Ponderosa, and that guy's got just a huge collection. I think there's probably 6, 7 cars, Hemi cars sitting in his shed. And he has one
Wow.
it's the 71 Cuda, I believe. He's got probably 5 or 6 of those in there. But
Big money.
it's the green, and one side has the white the white billboard on one side, and the other side has the black billboard because he wasn't sure which way he liked best. So it looks
That's
like two different
wild.
cars, and I'm like, you have too
I
many
kinda did-
you have too many cool cars when that's we'll paint one
Yeah.
side one way and the other side the other way.
Yeah,
But
it's wild.
How did Grandmom feel about you taking that tuition money and buying a Volkswagen?
I don't think she even knew, It was my great grandma. I think the story was when we were born, my cousins, we each got like $1,000. I mean, there was only like a few grand in there. The bug was like 5,500. So I think I had 3 or 4 grand, and Dad put up the rest. I was a Volkswagen guy forever. I still love them, but I don't have any anymore. But I had, 4 or 5 early ones. So we just bought this bug at the bug out and had some fun with it till the block cracked, and then I think second gear went out of it, and then at that point just like just unloaded it. We didn't put any more money into it. So it was a
Believe it or
short
not, the
career.
Fazio family was my dad before he got Fords. His first car was a Volkswagen Beetle or whatever.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah,
that was he bought it for $35, and that's what he drove in high school for a
Right.
little while until he got he had like 3 or 4 of them apparently, and then he got a Ford Ranchero, and which he still has and drives around to car shows. But that's how he became a
very
Ford
cool.
guy. I guess.
Yeah, the bug was Dad's first car, was a 61 Beetle, and he like metal flaked it and tricked it out. So that's kind of when I was 12, 13. That's why I wanted a bug. So my first car was a bug, and then I had a bunch, and then got into more hot rods and things. And I still love them though. They're great little cars.
I'm still a little taken back that maybe it's because I'm one of the old school Mopar cult people, but how do you go from a Mopar to a bug? Like,
I don't know.
you
I
went from the
actually went
coolest
to-
guy I've talked to the weirdest when you wanted a bug. Like,
Yeah.
I'm struggling a little bit here with this. Like,
That's fun. Well, actually, I was a bug guy first. Well, I mean, we had the Mopars obviously, but I just wanted a bug, I guess, because Dad had one first. Anyways, I like both, but yeah, they're different, totally different.
maybe a
But if you
microbus with
talk-
a tow bar pulling your CUDA.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't go real well. Those things are like 40 horsepower and about 100-inch wheelbase, so I don't think you'd make it far. But it'd be cute.
Maybe
How old are you, Travis?
I'm 45, so I'm getting up there.
Wow. I
Yeah,
did not think you were even in your 40s. So
yeah.
congrats,
halfway
keep it up.
through. Yeah, it happens.
Do you have any brothers and sisters? Or are you only child?
Nah, it's just me. They're stuck with me.
Oh,
it's your shop.
Yeah, just me.
Back to your shop. Are you like a full restoration, or is all the sheet work done when it comes into you, or how does that process work?
No, we can do everything. I got a couple guys that help me in my shop. Like I have my own booth, so Dad, we put kind of a shop on for me to do, custom work and restoration. I don't really like to call them restorations because I don't want to do those anymore because they seem to live here for years, but old paint jobs, you know what I mean? Not like a full-blown restoration, but like antique cars and custom stuff is down in my shop, and then Dad runs the body shop, which is like the real way to make money, doing all the insurance work. You're cranking out insurance jobs. They probably do 4 or 5 wrecks a day, you know what I mean? So he's got like 18 employees up there, and then I have 2 down with me. So we're cranking out wrecks all day. That's 90% of the business is collision work. And then we do the old stuff in my shop.
Yeah, that's kind of the crazy thing about auto body is how long and how many hours it actually takes to get those things perfect. Like I've got a friend redoing a 68 Hemi Charger, and he bought that
Yeah.
car in 2005, I think, in crates. And I don't know how many door panels he's bought, but he's like, oh, the scallop is a 1/16 of an inch too high or too low compared to the other side. And he's like, maybe I should just make my own door panels. And I'm like, you are never going to enjoy this thing with the amount of hours you've spent on it. But
Yeah, it's nuts. A lot of it too is the investment seems to always come out more than the car's even worth, but it's on what you want to invest in, I guess. You know what I mean?
well, it becomes art and it becomes something more than just a car. Like if you want a daily
Right.
driver, that's not probably the route to go,
Right.
Travis, tell us where the name Tuki came from.
Okay. So it's just a stupid story. Like, bought my house in like 99 and back before cell phones and all that. So I tried to remember the phone number that came with the property, and it just spelled Bob Tuki, and it just kind of stuck. It's pretty lame. It's pretty lame, but that's the story. And my friends at one of the tattoo shops just started calling me Tuki from the phone number, and that's the rest is history. That's it. As cheesy as that is.
I'm Tuki.
Yeah.
What's the area code then? Because I can
304.
remember this forever now.
Yeah, 304 Bob Tuki.
All right. You still have a landline now, huh?
No, it's actually gone. Lauren finally, we canned it a couple years ago, but I guess the nickname stuck at least.
You should request that for at least your cell number then.
Yeah, my cell number, I don't think I could spell anything clever with that. I don't know. I think I did try. But
well, it was a better story. I just thought maybe it was just going to be like that was your nickname. Your parents told you that when you were.
I never had a nickname.
Let's talk about this 64 Dodge Polara you have. Pretty unique combination here. I remember running into your dad one day randomly when I was working at a restaurant, and he came in and I scared the hell out of him when I was like, Bucky? And he was like, who the hell are you? And I said, Fazia, we race super stock together. What's going on? How you doing? And after they were done, he came out and he was telling me all about this car. So how did this car come about? Was this like a barn find, like a collision or a restoration somebody brought in that didn't want anymore?
No, Dad found it in Maryland like 15 years ago or so. It was an Arizona car. So a guy in Maryland was just cruising it. It was a 383 original, like it had original paint on it still. And like 2 spots of rust. It was a factory air car too, being from Arizona. So that was pretty neat. It's got these little vents in the dash that pop up. But he got it and he wanted to run some A stock. We were supposed to put a max wedge in it first because he did a restoration on a Nova for a guy named Jim Bowen. He actually used to build Joe Alloway's A stock wedge motors. And anyways, long story short, it sat on a rotisserie for like 10 years. We just never got to it. And then I was about to turn 40. I'd never raced I drove the CUDA one time, and this is kind of like I went from like hero to zero, like in a matter of like 9 seconds. So that my 9th run ever in the CUDA, I don't know if you were there, Bobby, but at Maple Grove, the motor scattered about 1,000 foot, and I spun the thing around and hit the wall. Ooh. So that was like the 9th run in a super stock car, So that was kind of my short-lived career in that. I got super bummed and just kind of parked it. It's still covered in oil, dead straight in the front end, but at some point we're going to get the car back out. So that was his first car. The famous, it was fairly famous. Him and Ray Barton did a lot with that car in the early 90s. So anyways, I was bummed that I tore it all up my first outing. But anyways, it's sitting on jack standing still. So I was turning 40 and I was like, man, it'd be cool if we could get this Dodge done and I could go to Indy for my 40th birthday. And Dad's like, all right, let's do it. And I was like, serious? So we just cranked that thing out and built it in like 3 months with some help from some buddies, and Jason Line, Dad had a Hemi block. So Jason and, the guys down at KB built the motor. It's actually a Hemi, not a 440. The trim package, the trim package is called 440. So, anyways, we cranked that thing out, went to Atco. Dad drove it first just to make sure it was going to go straight, of course. We had Ken Kier come up and just be there, check the chassis. Anyways, I made 2 or 3 runs at Atco in it. I think we went to Cecil back when Cecil was before Indy, made a couple runs and went straight to Indy. So I think my 6th run ever in the car was at Indy. So nervous is an understatement because I jumped right in it and went right to A stock class runoffs at Indy. And, A stock ain't no joke. So it was an amazing thing. I'll never forget it. Pulling into the staging lanes at Indy is something I'll never forget. You know what I mean? That was pretty heavy. And we went out there and went a 10:03. I remember running, I think it was Gove. And we were so tight. We iced it down. We were down on power, but to get that close to Gove on that run was pretty serious. I think he outrun me by 200s and, he beat me. But that was just something I'll never forget. So it's an amazing car. It's a nice car. We didn't know anything about stock. Dad's raced super stock his whole career, and we kind of messed up. We built the wrong year. We didn't know anything. It's a hurt combo, meaning the shipping weight's really off on the car. So I can't get 2 4s on it. We can only run the single 4 combo. So we're down on power comparable to a few other A stocks, but it's pretty fast for, you know what I mean? So we got some ideas. We're going to see what happens this next year.
Okay, so the 65 Coronet, like say Todd Hoven's car, he's got 426 with the 2 carburetors on it with the
cross rim.
The cross rim. Okay. But you can't do that because your car is a 64. Is that what the deal is? Or okay.
His car is the ultimate combo. Like we just didn't know, and we could have found a 6. So I have a 65 street Hemi car that I've had. We built that in 01, and it's a street car, but it's a hard top. So it has to be a post car. So we thought about turning that into the 65 stocker. Well, anyways, you got to have a hard top. So 65 has a higher lift camshaft, and you can run 2 4s. So they have the shipping weight on the 64 rated at like 3310, and they're going off an aluminum front car, which mine's a steel hardtop, but NHRA just won't. That's what Chrysler sent in 64. So every 64 goes off of that shipping weight. And the shipping weight on the 65 post car is like 3530 or something. So it's 200 pounds heavier on paper. So anyways, the shipping weight is just a better car. You know what I mean? And, NHRA won't change the shipping weight. We tried. That's just not going to happen. So we're kind of handicapped with the single 4, but we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? But Todd's car is amazing. That car is very fast. They got a good thing going with that car. There's a couple Camaros that are really fast, but I don't think anything's running with Todd, in my opinion.
No, not that I've seen. That car
No,
is really fast. He had a heads-up final at Cecil against Anthony Fetch.
Yeah, I knew that he was probably still a little heavy. I mean, I don't think he pulled it all because that thing went in the 40s Thursday before that. But it's hard to say. I didn't know the error on the final, but I knew Fetch, poor guy, knew he didn't have a chance. But I'm sure he did too. But yeah, Juan's car out west is the closest to Hoven. They could be real close. Juan's car is very fast. That's a good combo. He's another smart guy. So it's normally Juan and Hoven, and you know, if they get to the final in Indy, that would be a good race. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to remember. There's a guy, I think, from Colorado. There's a couple guys that run Cornets, and I think they run Hemis and A-Stock automatic. And
I don't know those. I know Colorado. I know Thunderbolt. I can't remember. Shoot, I forget his name, but it's fairly fast too. 427 car. But
like Robert Pond or Tibor.
yeah, it's
Fedor,
not
maybe?
Pont. Tibor, those guys are out west. This guy's in Colorado. It's a red car, but it's really pretty. He was at Indy one year. I think he's from Colorado.
Steve Hegberg
But-
is the guy's name from birth in Colorado. He runs a 67
Okay.
Plymouth with the 426.
Right. Yeah, see, I don't know much about the 67. I think it's a street Hemi. I don't know if it's a great combo or not.
The funny thing, I think it's his buddy, this Dan Morris, lives in Golden. He runs a 66 Dodge with the 426. And I run into those
They're
guys
neat.
out in Kearney, and they're pretty fun. They're pretty cool guys.
Yeah, my opinion is the 65 is the ultimate combo and double A stock. So A stock, it's only got to weigh like 40 more pounds than my car, and it's probably 70 more horsepower at least. So it's pretty hard to beat that. Yeah, 40 pounds isn't really a whole lot, you know.
Yeah, I think the horsepower offsets that by a significant amount.
Yeah, I would say so. So yeah, it's a great combination. And Juan's combo is very good. I don't remember if it's rated at 409 or 415, but it's fast. That's a neat car. I love it.
What's one? That's a 413, is it?
Yeah, it's a
the Plymouth
62.
Savoy or- Okay.
Yeah, 62. Most people think they're ugly and they're strange, but I really like them. They're cool. They're different.
Those people that think Mopars are ugly are called Ford people because they're tired of getting beat by them, and they're just in an ugly mood when they lose. And that's
Yeah, I think there, like I said, there's a few fast Camaros, but right now my money's on the two Mopars, you know, and A stock. I don't think any Camaro's running with them.
What kind of transmission you running in these Hemis?
727 Pro Trans. Yeah, ATI converter.
did you say who does your motor?
Jason Line builds the motor.
He's
Him
still
and,
doing them all.
Yeah, him and Jeff down at KB and Dan, you know, the guys that work with Jason. Yeah, he's doing them. He's working on Dad's new engine. So Dad's car's, it's taken a while, but it's finally making some big steam. And so, you know, it's been a little bit of a struggle, but it, you know, it's making power now. So we're pretty happy about that. Dad's really happy. So we'll see what happens. I'm trying to get Dad to go to Gainesville. We haven't been there. Geez, it'll be 21 years since we've been there, 01. So I'm going to see if we can make the trek this year and go down and get some good air, you know?
Are you getting pretty good durability out of it?
Yeah, finally. I mean, excuse me, it wasn't, you know, those Hemis are kind of finicky, and when they're on kill like that, at least, it wouldn't live, but they got it figured out now. Yeah, it's shoot, I think Dad put 10 runs on it down at Bella Rose, you know, back to back. So everything's going great.
And have they opened it up? Is it fairly easy to find? I mean, I'm sure they've opened it up to aftermarket parts, or what's parts availability? Is it?
No, there isn't anything because Mopar hasn't, you know, they've had their tooling locked up in a warehouse for years. So you have to source blocks. There was a couple guys trying to make a block, and I don't know what kind of happened with that. I'm not sure if I'm even allowed to say this, but I think Jason and them are working on some castings. So yeah, like I said, it's been hard. I think Dad was down to a block and like one set of heads. So you you can't find anything.
And they're big money. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, that's kind of out of my league there, you know. It gets expensive. I know that.
yeah, that's a whole nother level. People think stockers are expensive. Just try to find like a Hemi parts in general are pretty brutal.
Yeah, those age cars, I mean, they're like 40-year-old pro stock, you know. I mean, the technology, it's a 40-year-old body or whatever, you know, with 21st century technology, you know what I mean? Like it's literally an old engine, but it's kind of built like a pro stock engine, you know what I mean? It's pretty intense.
Just another reason why Mopar is so good, because they were ahead of their times with, like you said, the aluminum front ends. Here's our car. And then
Yeah, that was neat. They were on to something.
the old
They
Ram
went
Charger
after
group and all that stuff. It was just, I don't know. I think that's cool.
it is cool.
What do you do for suspension wise on that car? Like, what do you run for shocks, and you run Calvert leafs on the back? Or?
Yeah, in the rear. Calvert, if Calvert's listening, he needs to call me. I called him. I need to get a hold of John. Speaking of Calvert, we got some questions. I hopefully I'll see him at PRI show next week. Yeah, we got some questions on my rear shock, but yeah, we run Calvert set up in the back. I think in the front we got a set of sand tufts on there. They were good. And Dad runs all Lamb components and some custom stuff.
That was doing well at that Indy Hemi shootout also, which is what I
Yeah,
was going to say earlier. You said you're getting a lot more life out of these motors, and until
yeah,
I think he spun in a round, so he would have
yeah.
given a
We
good
were,
run for the money there.
yeah, he could have beat Camella because Camella had his one bad run. We told him that was his one lucky run. The thing only went a 50 something. I think the clutch was binding up or something. I forget what he said. But, anyways, that freaking thing, of all runs, it had to spin. You know, the stick cars go on the bumper. Yanis went on the bumper right before him, and Daniels goes on the bumper right after that. So the stick cars have a little advantage, you know, with the spinning issue. But there was no sense in that thing spinning at Indy like that. I remember walking away from the spot thinking this ain't good. I could just, you know, I didn't have much there. Anyways, he spun, and that was the end of the day. But it ran good. You know what I mean? I think he went. I don't remember 40 couple. I forget. But yeah, it ran good. So we'll see what happens this coming Indy. I think it'll be a lot tighter. They've picked up a little bit more. Well, probably a good bit more power since then even. So that's what they do. That's all. They don't. It's kind of like I. We're all weirdos like that, like Jason and those guys that you get around them guys and they're in another world. Like they're just up here with their knowledge and they're always thinking. You know what I mean? I don't think they stop, and I think that's, you know, a craftsman, an artist. That's what makes makes you tick. Like I don't ever stop thinking about paint. It's like it's just what you do. You can't turn it off. So you just do it, you know.
So do you find yourself, do you come up with your own designs, or are you going back to things that have done, or how do you come up with some of your ideas for these crazy paint
Like,
jobs?
well, obviously you're always looking to the past as far as, you know, there's a few painters that are, you know, a big inspiration to what I do. Some guys out west, some guys, you know, but most of those guys are gone or they're, you know, retired. But yeah, you're always looking at old photos and, you know, trying to figure out how someone might have done this or done that. And then just kind of put your own take on it. You know what I mean? So that's how and I'll do like a quick sketch, like a rendering, just so I know what colors may go where, but I don't really do like a full blown, you know, I just kind of start taping and then mark it out where what color is going to go where.
Yeah, it's crazy when you look like doing the fish scales and just, or even look at some of the factory, because you could get in the Mopar, they came with like factory paisley, like vinyl
Oh
tops, did they
yeah,
not? Like,
yeah. They had that mod top. It was a weird deal because it was a notchback. They should have put that thing on a hard top or coupe, like a '68 coupe. That would have been cool. But they did do a couple mod tops with that vinyl. It's pretty neat.
stuff like that now has got to be pretty much made out of titanium. I'm sure nobody's redoing it. I mean, where do you even find
Yeah,
that
I don't
stuff?
know. I doubt it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And like I said, the time and just the detail and some of that stuff that what you do is just pretty incredible. I would be like, let's do the Bob Ross. Like, let's put a happy cloud on the side. Little
Yeah.
stick man would be about my creativity. So I really appreciate somebody that can go in there and just dive in the way you guys
Yeah,
do.
that's what every time you talk to someone, they always think you're some sort of stoner. Like I don't even drink, but like they're like, dude, what kind of drugs were you on? Because those guys were pretty tweaked out in the '70s, of course, but yeah, it's pretty funny.
Now, when I was in Indy, I was hanging with Drag Racing Edge magazine, Evan Smith. You had just
Yeah,
painted a helmet for him,
yeah,
and he was showing he was so excited about this helmet. It was the Evil
That's
Knievel design. I mean, I was riding with him on a golf cart, handing
he's
out
yeah,
Drag Racing Edge magazine, and him just showing everybody, look at this helmet Travis Hess painted for me. Look at this helmet.
that's
Now, whether
funny.
he's actually ever going to wear this helmet
Yeah, I
is
know.
up for debate, but
Yeah, Evan's
it
a
was a work
good
of art.
dude. Thanks. Evan's a good guy. That magazine's great. We're supposed to do something in there on like nostalgia paint and stuff. I told him it'd be, fun. So at some point, we're supposed to work on an article. It'd be kind of fun.
And he put a camera inside your car. Was that at Indy?
Yeah,
Did he put a camera in
yeah,
your car recently? I feel like
yeah.
I
At
saw it.
Indy, that was killer. Like I'd never had an in car, so I was really stoked on that to kind of see. And it was actually a killer run. The thing left hard, shifting in the air. That was fun. The only thing I was bummed about is I've never been able to paint my own helmet yet, and I got this freaking bright white. It was pretty weak to be a painter, and like my only end car, I got this bright white helmet on.
The
So
Wimbledon white helmet.
yeah, basically, I still haven't painted it. I got to get that done this winter.
It's just an
It's just,
empty canvas sitting there waiting for your touch, right?
yeah, it's terrible. I got to get time to paint my own helmet, you know. So maybe we can do another end car.
But there's something to that with mechanics. Your stuff's always the last stuff you work on, or if you're a motor
It's so
builder.
weird it's weird how that happens.
Is it hard to get materials? Like, are you using all the new modern paints and finishes, or do you still go back
Yeah,
to the
like
lacquer?
no, I use mostly House of Color. I'm kind of hooked up with House of Color and used that. We've used that paint for over 25 years, and then we use Sherwin-Williams as well. But I do have a big stash of vintage paint because sometimes you have to have it for certain, techniques. So I have a pretty good stash of old paint as well. So some of and you really got to find the old pearls are hard to come by now, and they've kind of gotten somewhat of a renaissance. So they've gone up in value. Some guys are looking for them now.
What makes them
So,
different that you'd need to use the old vintage product?
well, the old pearl is literally just that. It's organic. It's really crushed pearl, and
Really?
it had lead in it as well.
Mm.
So it's the lead. It's hard to explain, but it kind of glows. It doesn't really sparkle. So it's pretty amazing. And that's very hard to come by. But I reach
Because
out
it's
to
dangerous to
old-
use, perhaps?
I guess that's why it got outlawed in the '70s. Yeah, kind of late '70s. I think the lead went out, and I have some that when they remade it without lead, of course. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just different. It's hard to explain. And when you see it, if you know what you're looking at. You know, it's a different sparkle per se than a modern day pearl.
Can the average person tell, do you
I'm
think?
not sure. If I pointed it out, I think you could. Like the top of Dad's car is a white pearl, but it's the vintage pearl. And then if you pulled it up beside a Cadillac pearl white, you'd be able to tell. You know what I mean?
I wonder if it was like
But-
more of a true color though. Like the problem I have, I always like that white pearl color, and I think that would be awesome to put on a car. But my wife had a Yukon that way, and every panel looked different. Like she had it repainted like one of her boss's kids ran a 4-wheeler into it, and they had to redo a fender.
Right.
And it looked
It's hard to
primer
match.
gray. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right. It is hard to match my wife's car is pearl white, and we got to paint. She picked up something on the interstate, so we got to do the hood and a couple things. So it's tricky, but the guys in the shop, they're pretty good at matching it, you know.
Well, it's kind of crazy. Like, so when I had my friend that's extremely picky as a body guy, and it's funny because he kind of ruins you. Like once you learn what to look for, like you can't really enjoy a nice car.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to go to a car show with me. I take all the fun out of it.
I had him repaint
You'll leave there going, why did I even come? But
I had him repaint a hood on the car, and he's like, well, I got to do a panel. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you got to do, this is 1 layer base, this is 2 layers of base, 3 layers, and you did all the layers and cleared it to try to match it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think Abra's doing that.
Yeah, that's called a letdown panel. So you got to step the pearl so you know how many coats to put on. But I don't do that stuff anymore, thank God. I mean, those guys got to match all these new colors. I used to do collision painting. That's how I learned how to paint. But I don't work up in that shop anymore, and it's tricky. These new colors are pretty hard to match because they're tri-stage. A lot of the nice cars will have, you know, all those multiple layers, like you're saying.
But do you think some of that's from the difference in the paints? Like, was the old lead paint more consistent, more organic? Was it easier to match, do you think, than what they're doing now?
I don't know. That paint was never really production paint. It was just custom paint. So those pearls were never really put on a factory car. So they were designed just for trick painting, you know what I mean?
What do you spend? What's the average time to do one of your cars? What do you spend for hours in painting?
So like from sealer up, like no body work or, you know, like once it's in the booth ready to put sealer on it, I'll normally try to keep track. But like the old Candy Cuda with the lettering and all, I remember it was at like 250 hours. And then Dad's car now is like 200. My car is up there. So with the lettering and gold leaf, they average at least 200 hours. So it's like 4 weeks straight in the booth. You know what I mean?
So you obviously don't have ADD if you can spend that much time and just keep going where you're at.
No, it's weird. Yeah, once you get going, it's like, you know, I could stay there all night. You know what I mean? You just get going, and eventually you're like, I gotta get out of here. But once I'm on a roll, it's just fun to me. So I just kind of dig into it. The tape process takes a while because that's kind of how it all starts. You got to get it taped out perfect, and then you just start layering the colors. But it's a process, and that's another thing you got to learn to do it efficiently, because you know we charge by the hour, so add that up. So you got to work fast. You know what I mean?
Do you have family then, or like do you have
I have a
kids?
Wife. No, just my wife, and we have a couple cats. You know, and she's real good. She's great. She, you know, like I said, I live across the street, so if I'm not in the paint shop, I do like sign painting and striping and design work, like lettering, and so I don't ever come home till like 8 o'clock. She's just kind of used to it. we eat kind of late. She gets on me about that though. But I usually am painting after work, or I'll go up to the race shop if Dad needs help. And then when we're racing, we're up there, getting cars ready. But obviously now we're getting into winter, so I just got projects lined up to get done, like side work. So I stay busy. I'm never just sitting around.
Wow. What do you do when you're not painting or racing? You have any other activities that you do with the wife?
Yeah, I mean, so I have a lot of interest. I don't know if that you were talking about ADD. I don't think it's that, but I like a lot of different things. So I kind of bounce around. I collect vintage bicycles. Like I love bicycles. And we'll go antiques, and in the summer, Dad, has my papa's old river lot. So we'll go down and wake surf. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. But as far as non-work related, I really like old bicycles and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, actually, I have seen you post some pictures of the old bicycles. So yeah,
Yeah, they're
that's
fun.
pretty cool. Lock them up tight. Ours get stolen around here.
Yeah, it's funny that the bike market's pretty strong right now. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't leave them sitting out.
Well, they cut your lock here. Make sure you have a good lock. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
bet.
nah, it's really cool, man. We really appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking.
Do you have anybody you'd like to thank that helps with your race program and or painting business?
Well, obviously, my dad. I mean, I couldn't do this. You know what I mean? So Dad's always been supportive, and he works really hard. He's always worked his whole life to build this shop up, and so we're blessed to be able to go race together. That's a big deal. I didn't get to race, like I said, for a long time. I mean, it's very expensive. So to race Hemi cars, so to have two of them going at once, it's a lot. So I was just grateful to finally get out and go hang out with Dad. And my mom and Dad been racing since the '90s. Mom's kind of over it. She's like, she'll go once in a while, but she's kind of over it. She'll go to the Dutch and Maple Grove, stuff like that. But so it's normally me and Dad and the dog, and we got some buddies that help us. We couldn't do it without their help. We got Gene builds our transes, been doing it since the beginning, so he does Dad's transes, and Jim and Randy, a couple other guys that go with us, and they're big help. It's a lot of work. Dad's car is a lot of work. Mine's, when he's racing, his motor could be out every other race. You know what I mean? But so yeah, that and it's fun to just go hang out. You know what I mean? Because Dad's getting a little older. I'm like, man, you need to quit working so much. But that's just how he's wired. But I think I can talk him into hitting Gainesville this year. I hope. And it's a heck of a drive. And once you're down there, you got to hit the points. We'll hit Baby Gators and then stay. So it's a lot of time off. And so hopefully we can make it happen. And it'd be fun to get back down there and hit Garlits. I want to see the museum again. It's been forever. So yeah, that and House of Color's always been real supportive of my paint. So I appreciate that. In my opinion, they're the best custom paint out. And I think we can testimony to that. I mean, we got a lot of cars out there with that paint on it. So
How much of your work is airbrush?
I can airbrush the basics. I'm not like a mural guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. If someone wants like their kid's portrait on their tailgate, I'm not that. I'm not that guy. I got a buddy down in Austin, Texas. Is one of the best. I would mention him if they were really serious.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a few other people. You know what I mean? But I can do the basics with the airbrush. But I'm more into the graphics and the lettering and gold leaves, stuff like that.
It's beautiful work.
Thanks.
Well, awesome. We appreciate you coming on and diving into the madness behind your hands. Like I said, it's just absolutely crazy, and
thank you.
It's one of those trades that I don't think people really appreciate. Like I said, how much time and detail that comes into it. So it's pretty cool that you're keeping the vision alive for yet another generation to be able to admire and appreciate. And you never know, some kid out there is like, I want to be the next Tuki.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with race cars in the beginning, they went fast, but they also looked really good. So that's kind of, you got to do the show and go,
Yeah. Well, how can people get a hold of you if they're interested in having you do a project for them?
Well, the easiest nowadays, I have a website, but geez, I can't even remember how to get into that thing. The easiest nowadays is Instagram. So my Instagram is, at Tuki Paints It. And that's pretty much the easiest nowadays. And then, of course, Facebook, just my name, Travis Hess. And, the shop, people can Google the shop, Bucky's Limited Auto Body. But the Instagram, that's what I'm on pretty much all the time. It's convenient.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and it was really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yep, thank you guys.
Thanks, Travis.
Pretty fascinating.
Right.
A good friend of mine from Oregon way back was a custom muralist and did some awesome work.
Wow.
So I've seen just a little bit into that industry, and it's amazing. So any of that stuff just blows my mind. So thanks a lot, Travis, for giving us some time of yours away from the paint booth. Right. And this is Class Racing Today. Thanks, Bobby and Brian, for setting this one up again. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you have any questions or comments, email us, classracingtoday@gmail.com. And we will see you on the next one. Have a great day.
Thanks,
See you later.
guys.